Good evening, you fantastic and glorious degenerates of this floating rock that we call Earth. Welcome back to Off the Wire. I am your host, Noel Olin, aka the Cajun Libertarian, and I am so excited to have you here tonight. Let's go over a couple of the topics really quick. Woody Harrelson goes based on SNL, Saturday Night Live. Tucker Carlson gets 41,000 hours of 1/6 footage, and the Democrats just lose it. I am here for that. Male trans that raped a baby and drowned a toddler gets put in women's prison with children. I mean, you can't make that up. Amazingly horrible. Okay. Now, I do have a very special guest to come on and talk about that last topic for just a few minutes. So hang out because this is going to be an absolutely packed and outstanding show here on Off the Wire coming up right now. Yes. Welcome back to Off the Wire. I am your host, Noel Lynn. Before we get started, please like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Cajun Libertarian. Follow me on my big Facebook page, The Cajun Libertarian, with over 30,000 followers. Follow me on Twitter with over 16,000 followers at The Cajun Libert 1 so that I can keep you updated on everything that that is going on with this brand that is growing exponentially beyond my wildest dreams. Not that I had very many dreams to begin with, because I never thought it would be where we're at today, which is pretty incredible. So I am floored, honestly. I gotta tell you, and it's because of you guys. It's because of y'all that want to have this information pushed out and spread to the masses so that we can all receive and be informed on things greater than what we have going on in our own lives. With that being said, let's listen to a word from my friend and mentor, Spike Cohen. You're listening and watching to one of the fastest and largest growing Liberty podcasts on the planet.
The game plan of You Are the Power is pretty simple. We find people who are being harmed or abused or neglected or mistreated by their local governments. And this is my life's work. We want to help people.
This is something that has already began to affect real change. This isn't some distant, futuristic, utopian dream. It's already happening. It's making its course. It's making waves right now as we speak.
If you want to learn how to become an effective activist and then to do actual activism and actually help people now, not wait for, like you said, some distant utopian future where libertarians take over the world and leave everyone alone. If you want to do that now, that's what we're doing. This next year is going to be the year that people see what liberty actually looks like. Not what it sounds like, not what our philosophy is, but what the actual results and idea, what the solutions behind what we do. So that's what I'm doing with You Are the Power. I would love for you to be a part of it. youarethepower.net. We'd love for you to become a member. And this is my life's work.
Absolutely. youarethepower.net. It's right there on the screen. youarethepower.net. Sign up today so that you can get the latest updates on what Spike Cohen and youarethepower.net are doing. And what they are doing are making massive waves. Now, without further ado, let's get into our first subject. Woody Harrelson's Saturday Night Live coronavirus monologue riles elites, and Elon Musk calls it, quote unquote, based. This is a short segment, but let's have some fun with it, right? Good news is good news, and it's something that we sorely and most desperately need in this arena today. Woody Harrelson's, quote unquote, Saturday Night Live monologue garnered instant backlash and praise over commentary hinting at government's collusion with media and the medical industry to require the China virus shots. I'm paraphrasing that in my own wording because of etymological reasons, right? Quote, So the movie goes like this, end quote. 61-year-old Harrelson, Woody Harrelson begins, quote, the biggest drug cartels in the world get together to buy up all the media and the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes, and people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over, end quote. Harrelson set up the bit by joking about a script he was reading in 2019 in Central Park while smoking cannabis. He concluded the joke with, quote, I threw the script away. I mean, who was going to believe that crazy idea? Yeah, who would? Being forced to do drugs? I do that voluntarily every day, end quote. Twitter CEO Elon Musk was quick. I love how they label Elon Musk as the Twitter CEO as if he's not a multi-billionaire that started like the modern day Tony Stark, but whatever. I digress. Was quick to add his thoughts as social media approached meltdown over Harrelson's routine. Quote, so based. Nice work at NBC SNL, end quote, Musk tweeted. Look, I love it. I love it. This is how we win the culture war. And this is a massive culture war. And you've got a massive player in the field. Just saying. This kind of stuff should not be overlooked. It is not minuscule. It is not momentary. These are big waves. And you know they're big waves because it outraged people. It outraged people. So good on Woody. Love it, my man. Keep it going. Let's check a couple of your comments here. Scientific Libertarian says, neat. Yes, indeed. Dave Davis. Other news outlets are asking the same footage given to Tucker Carlson. Yeah, well, they're probably not going to get it because obviously Tucker is going to, and I'm going to get into that later this episode. So let me stop right there. Patricia Marie, bunch of claps. Thank you. Thank you. Lincoln Gaffney. Hi, Cajun Libertarian. Hello. Patricia, I'm the power. That's exactly correct. Exactly correct. Find Woody's 2011 documentary, Ethios. This is very tiny on my screen. Yeah, Ethios, I believe. So check that out. I'm going to stop right there because you guys are commenting faster than I can actually begin to do this. So let's get into the next story. Report, and this is from The Blaze from February 16th, 2023. Report, male transsexual who raped infant and confessed to drowning toddler put in women's prison containing a maternity unit and kids. I have a special guest coming on here in a few minutes. As soon as I get done reading this article, I'm going to speed read it. I'm going to offer very little commentary, okay? And we're going to talk to this person about it, and we want your feedback because here's my deal. My wife asked me, all right, and if any of you followed the show in long form, my wife is a severe victim of pedophilia, all right? Grew up in a household destroyed with it. So not only was it something that I was already, I want to word this correctly so I don't get banned, upset, to put it mildly. And so then I get married to a wife who, her and all of her sisters, by the way, my wife was a virgin when we got married. Intended. It hit home. And it hits home every day because it's a childhood psychological drama that will never leave. It never does. It's permanent. In many facets and avenues of this course that we call life. Now, let's read The Blaze, February 16th, 2023. A new report has revealed that a male child rapist who masquerades as a female is now being held in a women's prison and contains a mother and child unit and houses infants, according to Reddit's report. Adam LeBuckin, who now goes by Tara DeSouza, raped a 3-month-old infant. A 3-month. It never gets easier. A 3-month-old infant in Quesnel, British Columbia. The pedophile was 15 at the time of the 1997 crime, which left the infant so badly injured that he had to be flown 410 miles away to undergo reconstructive surgery. After raping the baby, LeBuncan mutilated himself and ate his own flesh, reported the Toronto Sun. Long before he would mutilate himself further in an attempt to pass as a woman, at the age of 17, the pedophile was declared Canada's youngest dangerous offender. Canada state media reported that during his subsequent trial, the court heard that LeBuckin had apparently also drowned a 3-year-old boy in Quesnel at the age of 11, but avoided charges because he was under the age of 12. Oh, all right. Continue on. Dr. Ian Posnikoff. And look, y'all, I apologize if I'm butchering these names. I probably am. I'm sure I am. Okay. But it doesn't matter. You can look it up. This isn't hard to find. Just go to the lead headline that I reported. Male transsexual who raped infant and confessed to drowning toddler put in women's prison containing maternity unit and kids from the Blaze, February 16th of 2023. You ain't got to go to the Blaze, dude. You can go everywhere and find this report at this point for those that wish to actually freaking report the news. Dr. Ian Posnikoff told the court the child rapist, quote, said he was not planning a life of crime, but he felt he had no way to control a flood of violent, murderous fantasies, end quote, adding that while in custody, quote, he would turn them against himself, but this high level of self-mutilation, almost self-cannibalization, could be turned against other weaker individuals with possibly fatal consequences, end quote. That's from the person. That's from the dude, from the criminal, from the murderer and rapist. Extra to apparently, is that right? Yeah. Extra to apparently having a taste for human flesh. The child rapist reportedly also prohibited himself out to prostituted himself out to fellow inmates, one of whom he married, stabbed himself, and threatened to kill a female guard. Despite his crimes, LeBuckin was able to get a sex change surgery and double D-sized breast implants in prison at the taxpayer's expense. The Toronto Sun indicated that the implants alone, usually covered by Canadian provincial and federal governments, quote unquote, routinely cost as much as $10,000, end quote. After Corrections Canada indicated the federal government had not paid to cut off the child rapist's genitals. Repeating, after Corrections Canada indicated the federal government had not paid to cut off the child rapist's genitals. So no government funding for castration for disgusting, evil, horrible human beings that rape children. But, we can confirm their identity. We're equality, inclusion. Except for the brutally raped and murdered children, apparently. I gotta keep going here. Sorry. The Edmonton Sun reported the provincial government of British Columbia likely picked up the tab. However, he was afforded an opportunity to relocate to a different kind of prison, the Fraser Valley Institution for Women in Abbotsford, British Columbia. This facility has a mother-child program and a small playground for toddlers and other prospective victims. FVI is one of 5 federal institutions that permit infants and children up to the age of 7 to live with their criminal mothers. Not against that. I actually like that. Quote, if you speak up or say anything, you're called transphobic or a TERF. For those of you that don't know what TERF is, it's an acronym, Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. Or what you would say is, quote unquote, hate speech, Mason told the Toronto Sun. Quote, women are being sacrificed on the altar of political correctness. We're being erased. Everything we fought for is being taken away, end quote. This problem is hardly limited to Canada. New York Democrats reintroduced legislation last month that would enable male transsexuals, including sex offenders, to be jailed with real women, even if they still have their male genitalia intact. I don't understand why even that last part is applicable, but there it is. Now, joining me online to talk about this and more is Sarah Higdon, a massive winner in this culture battle. Sarah, how are you? Thank you for joining the program.
I am good. Thanks for having me. Obviously not a good topic to talk about, but yeah, I'm glad to be here and talking about stuff with you. I tell you what, though, that article, that story, it really makes me like people like that make me rethink my opposition to the death penalty, because it's insane.
Me too, very much so. I struggle, and Spike himself, a good friend of mine, and has been a mentor throughout this entire process for me. I was very fortunate. He even admitted and was being transparent about how he struggles with the death penalty when it comes to extreme child abusers. And yeah, I want to desperately stay principled, right? And say, you know what, as much as a story like this infuriates me and I want the absolute worst for this person, I still have the internal struggle of the state gets way more things wrong than they do right. And so it hurts my soul to even fight against this. And surely I can't be the only one.
No, but this actually goes into what I think about a lot of these issues anyway. So, I mean, when it comes to prisons, this is something we're seeing all over the world. Like you mentioned, it's like California, England. Actually, I think England might have just reversed course like within the last couple of days. But they're putting so many males into female prisons, and I mean, we don't have to do that. There's simple solutions. We have, LGBT wards of prisons. We can have LGBT wards of prisons, but I've always said, even with LGBT wards of prisons, if you rape or murder somebody, honestly, you can go in the men's prison. I think that's that's a great punishment. Like, I don't care, like, go into the men's prison if you're raping somebody. We can take severity of crime into effect in those situations. I mean, living out your days in a men's prison as a transsexual sounds pretty awful.
I've never ran across that aspect, but that might be the way we solve some of this without because here's the thing, I've gotten a lot of blowback on. I've gotten a little bit of blowback on prison justice, right?
Yeah.
I'm not against it, okay? If you're somebody like this who has themselves admitted to doing these things on multiple occasions, admitting to be a violent person, yeah, okay. What you said you did it? Go, because and let them handle you, because it's going to be far worse than the justice system could ever do.
Yeah, and what happens is a lot of times, what we're seeing, at least in the UK, is that like 90% of these people that identify as trans in prison, once they get released, they end up going back and living as their biological sex. And so it's just proof that, and I can't say, apparently I found this out, you can't actually say that what I was going to say on on YouTube, so I won't say it, but
Thank you.
I found that out. So yeah, that was we actually talked about this a little bit last week or a week and a half ago when I was on Timcast on the after show because we couldn't talk about it on the actual show.
Wow. Okay, so a little side tidbit for y'all. Sarah was just on Timcast. I asked her to come on prior to my knowledge of Sarah being on Timcast. I had no idea. I just I've been stacking these elements of what I wanted to do in this culture war fight, and Sarah's a major fighter. Not just that though, stacking wins. And then you were also just on Kibbe for Liberty, Matt Kibbe, who I've had on this show multiple times. Didn't know that either. But let's talk about this.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the wins that you're stacking.
Oh yeah. So the Kibbe on Liberty episode hasn't aired yet. So I was in so I filmed Timcast, and then I was in DC for the rest of the weekend. So when I was there, I was hanging out with Matt and Terry, and we filmed an episode for their show. Sunday, went and spoke at the anti-war rally. I met Ron Paul, which was one of the most amazing things I could say. I took a picture. It's posted on my Twitter account. But then, so then we've got some bills here in Georgia where I live to end multiple bills, but on Monday, I was at the Capitol to speak on a bill that would end, the medicalization of, gender dysphoric children here in Georgia. So it passed committee. And so now we're waiting for it to go to the floor, and we're gonna work on so I can actually speak on it this time on the floor. But so what we're looking at doing, passing bills and protecting children.
That's excellent. When is that supposed to occur, and how can we help you? And also,
I'm not sure when it's.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm not sure when it's gonna occur. I'm actually gonna be down at the Capitol tomorrow to meet with some people, have some meetings tomorrow, and then we'll hopefully figure that out in the short term.
And that's specific to Georgia, correctly?
Yeah, that's a Georgia bill. But I mean, I have other bills I'm working on in other states, so I'm working with some other organizations. I'm not actually working on the bills, but we're working on times for me to go testify in favor of these bills that they're writing, one in Wisconsin. And I haven't heard about the other one yet, so I don't want to announce anything too much, but hopefully I'll be up in I was just up in Wisconsin 2 weeks ago. I was speaking at an event with Chloe Cole and Jamie. Well, actually, Jamie wasn't able to make it to the event, unfortunately. But Chloe Cole was up there, and we just had a great event there. And that's kind of what I've been doing lately is, traveling around, speaking on trans issues, trying to, I'm a member or I'm a contributor to Gays Against Groomers. So trying to work with them and trying to just protect, children so they're not being medicalized, medicalizing children. One of the biggest things obviously is preventing, them from having surgeries as minors. I don't think any minor should have life-altering elective surgery.
Right. Okay. So I love that you brought that up because I just had Chloe Cole on the show in December, and she was one of my biggest, or if not the biggest podcast, almost 10,000 views that I've ever had. And so, but it's not just about the part of stacking these small wins that I want you to cover for us. It's more about the overarching substantive nature of how much ground we're gaining in this fight for protecting children. And you are somebody who's making massive strides in that arena. And so we need to know, the audience needs to know, I need to know how we can help, where your next endeavors are. What do we need to do, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, just support us, follow us everywhere online. If you can support financially, obviously do that. But the thing is get in touch with your legislators wherever you're finding bills. Get in touch with your legislators. There's great organizations like No Left Turn Education, Moms for Liberty, Gays Against Groomers, Gen Spec. There's a number of them. And if you go on the Gays Against Groomers website, you'll find all these different resources and different areas we can help. And we're starting to put together a list of bills across the country that we're supporting and that are going forward. And we're seeing, strides all over the country where, these bills are passing left and right. It's hard to keep track of every day. That seems like a new bill has either passed or it's moved out of committee or we're getting ready to they're getting ready to Mom Army is another organization, and they're spreading awareness, and then they're the ones, everybody's just kind of, we're doing a lot of stuff with local school boards to try to keep queer theory out of schools. So the biggest thing is run, and if you can, run for your local school board, and let your congressman and everybody know the bills that are in your states that you guys support, because that's the biggest thing, is letting them know that their constituents actually support these bills.
Amen.
I will say, I think it's really interesting too, because this is one of the areas where I think libertarians in general have issues with, because we are talking legislation, right? And we're talking government power. But what I want to remind people, and I always like to tell people, like when we're talking, even if we were talking about like an anarchist society, the community would still come together to protect children. And that's where I think we can all come together. And this is why I'm fine with, or I'm working with government to, protect kids in these manners, because this is the system that we have right now.
That's correct. I love that you just said that, because that's one of my big deals, right? As somebody who's an anarchist at heart, but a libertarian in active nature, what we need to understand as a collective body in this group of people is that no matter what our idealistic dreams are, we have to work within the current system that we have. And so I'm not going to want an enforcement regime to intervene in the protection of children. Makes no sense. We can have that discussion later when we have minimized our government to the point, if possible, as to where we want it. But the problem that we are facing head on right now, right in front of us, is that we do have a government and we do have an institutional process into which it is fundamentally rooted itself in quote unquote protection of the people. And so that's why I find what you're doing specifically, Sarah, and with Gays Against Groomers, because I wanted to bring that up. I'm glad you did. I'd love to have Gays Against Groomers on the show. You're one element of that. I want to continue this fight so long as this continues to have to be a fight. It's unimaginable to me that we're even having this discussion, yet here we are. And so we need massive voices and fighters like you in this department, in this war, because my goodness, how can we're just literally trying to protect children, and yet I'm the one that's being called a transphobe. And I'm like, okay,
hey, get in line. Get in line. I get called a transphobe as a trans person too, and it's comical at this point. But you're right. I mean, this is the problem with when we actually talk about legislation, though, too, is like places like California, you're never going to pass some of this legislation. So I actually posted on my Twitter account yesterday because I think that legislation is important in these regards, but also like lawsuits. Like Chloe's lawsuit just went forward. It's one of the first to go forward. And I think that you're going to see that takes away the incentive to perform these procedures. So I think lawsuits are just as important. And that's where you can actually support a lot of like the detransitioners who are suing and like that, like when they have like GoFundMe's and all that, that's how you can also support them individually in their fights. As well, Partners for Ethical Care was at the event that I was at in Wisconsin, and they mentioned Jeanette, who was one of the co-founders. She mentioned they have lawyers that are standing by to bring these suits forward. So it's just like getting them suits. Like they don't have enough work right now, but they have them there in place. So like I said, I think lawsuits are going to be even more imperative than legislation, but both are important.
Yeah, very much so. I've been an outspoken advocate of excuse me. This is a topic that I fully believe the vast majority of the country, they don't even know it exists.
Yeah.
Right. And so, of course, there's elements of legislation that we need to attack and address. But I think the greatest fight that we have in this specific arena of gender ideology or gender, quote unquote, scare quotes, okay, affirming care, because that's not what that is, in my opinion. I think that's a grotesque misconceptualizing description of it. Sorry, I just get worked up over this, and it frustrates me to no end. I've got 3 kids. I've got kids that I care about that aren't mine. I just care about the innocence of kids, and what we're doing is we're destroying their potential. We're literally advocating. When I say we, I say that loosely. Obviously, Sarah and I are not advocating for that. Gays Against Groomers is advocating against that, like Sarah and I. But this destruction of innocent childhood and who these people could be, because, you know, and I'm sure you could testify this, most of these children would actually grow up to be maybe just gay or bi.
That happens all the time. Yeah. Yep. And actually, the Lisa Littman study in 2018, it used to be that we would not, like, that study used to say that 80% of gender nonconforming kids would desist by the age of 16. And that used to be a bunk study because, like, it was anybody that was gender nonconforming. It wasn't just taking into account everybody that had gender dysphoria and who was being treated for gender dysphoria. But now they're telling any kid who that's gender nonconforming that they're trans. And so that study is completely irrelevant, because you're right, like 90% will grow out of it by the age of 19. And all the World Health Organizations, at least outside of the US, are realizing that fact and reversing course.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's if you don't mind, can we get to a few of the comments that I would love you to address, and then I'm going to let you go. Let's get to the first one, which is contentious. So, completely, Janice is somebody. Sorry, there it goes. Yeah, comments are just flooding in. Janice, I love you. You're somebody that's absolutely amazing, but you're wrong. You're wrong, in my opinion. Sarah, I'd like you to address this. As Gays Against Groomers, parenthetical gag is a far-right anti-LGBTQ organization known for protesting gender-affirming care for minors in hospitals that provided. What would you say to that?
Well, I'm not far right, and I'm a member. And it's interesting to call an organization full of LGBT people anti-LGBT. It's kind of ironic. That's what I would say. And yes, we are protesting gender affirming care for minors because because it's not rooted in science. It's rooted in pseudoscience that's actually harming children.
Yes. I could not have said it better myself. Absolutely. I would have said it the exact same way. It's pseudoscience. Number one, it's gaslighting when it comes to etymological definition, definitive, by its definitive nature, etymologically, absolutely abhorrent. Yep. Because it's not gender affirming care. If it were gender affirming care, then we tell these kids that affirming their gender would be that you need to accept who you are and how you're born at this point in time. And as you get older, you can explore those differences once your brain develops. That's my stance. I'm not saying that's Sarah's stance.
The key is to, we can talk about like socially transitions and stuff like that, which is not a zero-sum game as people would think it is. But yes, when you get to be, adults can do with their body as they please. But kids can't consent to this stuff, and parents are being manipulated. What gender affirming care does is actually it doesn't push back. And you're seeing bills like conversion therapy bills that would basically make it a crime to even question a child that says they're gender dysphoric. So it pushes a lot of children, and that's why the detransition rate's skyrocketing.
Yep. I mean, it's part of it's a social contagion, a part of it's a construct, a part of it is legitimate, but there's so many elements to the equation. Logic Rex, who is also a trans person, says, as a libertarian, I was just thinking about the legislation aspect. I'm glad she mentioned that. I'm always curious as to how far some conservatives want to go. I don't think Sarah's a conservative, but let's discuss it.
No, and that's one of my concerns. Yeah, I'm a minarchist. So, but that's one of the biggest concerns that I have. I mean, it's again, building these coalitions. It's the same as the anti-war rally, building coalitions and then stopping when we can. But one of my biggest concerns is as we start to see the pendulum swing backwards, because it's moving on its way backwards right now. It's catching it at the bottom before it goes too far back the other way to where they are banning adults doing what they want with their bodies and stuff like that. That is my concerns. And so right now, I think that's why it's important for somebody like me to be in this fight, is because we can try to slow it down, to show that adults can live their lives happily, and slow it down. And we're not all of these crazy people. And so I actually helped slow it down. And Angela McCurdle, her super chat when I was on Timcast, actually, it said very much the same thing. It's like, I'm important. Yeah. She said that I was important to be, stop the pendulum before it goes too far.
Yeah, 100% agree. Logic's follow-up question, I already know the answer to this one. For example, Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles have floated the idea of state legislation against men wearing dresses in public. For some conservatives, it doesn't stop at the kids, like some of they say. And you're absolutely right. And that's ridiculous. I completely reject. The hour grows stronger that I cannot stand Matt Walsh. I'm trying to give him the chance, but I can't. The dude is a joke, in my opinion. He's made some good strides in this movement, but he's going way too far. This is just abhorrently laughable and disgusting.
Yeah, and that's part of it too, is people like Matt Walsh. Yes, What Is a Woman was a great documentary, in my opinion. It brought a lot to the table when it comes to this conversation. But yes, a lot of people like Matt Walsh and them, they want theocracy. I think a lot of what Matt Walsh does, though, is he wants to be, he's kind of a shock jock too. He's doing a lot of this for his audience, but there are a lot of social conservatives that want a theocracy, and that's what we have to stop from happening. And that's why when bills come up that are a little bit too far, we have to push back against those just as much as we push hard for the other stuff. And that's one thing that, again, going back to the comment about gays against groomers, Jamie, the founder, has consistently said, we don't care what happens and what adults do. We are strictly concerned about children. And again, to say that we can't wear, men can't wear skirts in public it's kind of laughable. I think that's a little bit of them trolling, because they like to do that too.
Yeah, but the problem is that the people eat it up. They believe this. They control all they want. That is irrelevant when you get their little parrots running around, freaking echoing the same type of garbage. That's where I have a problem with it. I'm okay with you trolling, but the problem is when you have that many subscribers, when you have that many followers, they're going to run around echoing that same rhetoric across the internet. And then it works against the actual efforts that you and I, that Sarah and I, and everyone else that are legitimately trying to walk through in this fight against gender ideology, specifically against kids. It hurts us. It's damaging us. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. And actually, that's like the whole thing that made a lot of stir recently with when Matt went against Dylan Mulvaney. Everybody said it was a little bit too mean. And here's the thing, is I understand that we all have kind of our roles when we fight these types of things. I personally think you win more people over with Honey. I think that Matt gave the trans rights activists on the left a huge opportunity now to say, see, we told you that they're hateful. We told you this stuff. We told you that they don't like you. So they'll point to somebody like that. They'll come to somebody like me and say, why do you support somebody that wants you dead and all this stuff? Like that he gave them a huge win, in my opinion. Like I've had this conversation with Austin Peterson about pronouns, because I'm like, do I think that, do I respect a lot of these people? Maybe not, but I'm not even trying to change their minds. I'm trying to win people over, win hearts and minds over to our side. So if I, especially as a trans person, decide to not use somebody's, preferred pronouns, that just shows that, I mean, that people turn their ears off to that. But Austin at the other time, on the other side, made a great point when he said, but if you're a communist and you don't believe in free speech and all this stuff, I'm going to get you wrapped up into a pronoun debate while we're over here passing legislation to change stuff. Right. So there are different strategies, but I think just being cruel and mean is not even part of that strategy. Right.
That's man, that's the first time I've heard that angle. That's the first time I've heard those details. That's absolutely excellent, Sarah. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's outstanding. I never rewatch my episodes because I just can't stand me personally. I'm like, no, if I keep look, I'm dead serious. If I keep watching me, I will quit the show. Like literally, I'm like, no, you're the most awful person to be doing this whatsoever. You're terrible at this. Blah blah blah. I'm definitely going to rewatch this segment with you on here so that I can nitpick all of the facts that you've given here, and I can start just diving off into them. I cannot wait. That's excellent.
Awesome.
So I don't want to keep you much longer. Doesn't look like there's really a whole lot more here. So we'll read this last one. Logic Rex again. Sarah, 100% just giving the TRAs the ammo they need. It's almost as if, quote unquote, shooting yourself in the foot is a contest for some concern.
That is absolutely
I read that
right.
live. That is
right.
that.
Yep. Yeah, Logic Rex is we follow each other on Twitter, so we know each other too.
Nice.
We've known each other for a little while, so it's good to see her here.
Yeah, love Logic Rex. Love you. We've been following each other for quite a while. I've not been Twitter engaged like I'm supposed to be, but since the Elon noise took off and all of a sudden my, I guess, shadow bans were lifted.
Same
my
happened
Twitter
to me.
account. Yeah, that's why
Same thing.
My Twitter account just blew up.
It
wasn't even. It was not even after Elon bought the company. It was literally at the moment that Elon said he was talking about buying it.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Everything went buck wild after that. So,
Absolutely.
Sarah, I want you, as we get off of here, can you please let us know what you have coming up, how we can support you, because this is, in my mind, the greatest probably underground movement that's happening in this country. And I want this audience and myself to help. What do we do?
Yeah. So, I have different events coming up here pretty soon. I'm going to be in, where is it? I'm going to be in Pennsylvania, Westchester, Pennsylvania here at the end of March. I'll be kind of around doing stuff around the country. The biggest thing to do, go to support me, just go to my website. You'll see I have links to all of my social media on there. It's just sarahhigdon.com. I also have a donor box built into the website. So if you want to support financially, that's always appreciated. But just, share my videos. Find me on YouTube, sarahhigdon.com or youtube.com/sarahhigdon. Twitter is and Instagram are both just Sarah Higdon with an underscore after it. But yeah, you can find all my articles. You can find everything on my website though as well.
That's sarahhigdon.com or YouTube at sarahhigdon.com.
Yeah, so sarahhigdon.com is just my regular website. YouTube.com/Sarah Higdon, Rumble.com/Sarah Higdon, and then just Sarah Higdon with an underscore is Instagram and Twitter.
So. Outstanding.
Yeah.
Look, when I say this, I mean it, because I don't bring people on that I don't care about. I don't say things definitively that I don't care about. I absolutely thank you so much for what you're doing. You are an absolute warrior in this field, and I encourage everyone to please go support Sarah, and go follow Gays Against Groomers as well, and
Yep.
sarahhignan.com, right?
Yep. That's my website. Yes, thank you. Thank you again for having me on. This was great.
No, thank you so much. Sorry, I get wrapped. I'm so freaking passionate about this. I get wrapped up in the end. I'm gonna butcher people's names
No,
and their
you're
websites.
fine.
That's totally my bad for not reaching out. But like, I always do this too. I don't know why I gapped it. I was just so excited to have you on. I'm like, what do we? Give me the website. I want to promote
Yeah.
it. sarahhigdon.com. Follow her on all of her channels. Sarah, thank you so much for joining the program. I look
Thank you.
forward to having you on again and expressing to everyone the continued wins. The wins. That's so freaking important. How many wins that you're stacking in this fight to protect our children. Thank you so much. Please join me again and let's continue these wins.
Yeah, anytime. Just let me know.
Thank you, Sarah. You're amazing.
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye. Absolutely freaking incredible. I mean, I'm the one. I got to do way better at all this stuff. I'm still a noob, still a rookie, but I'm so passionate about people like Sarah who are stacking these wins every freaking day. And this is what the news and the media will not report on. This is why I'm going to continue to have these people on this show, is because they're going to stack wins, and you are not going to hear about it unless I have them on. One of the fastest and largest growing Liberty podcasts on the planet. This is why. This is why. Because people want to hear good news. You hear an article that's so horrifically terrible, and then you have someone like Sarah telling you, yeah, I hear that article. I hate that article. And I hate what's going on. I'm a part of the community that's claiming to be doing this stuff. And I'm telling you, we're not for that. And I'm giving you receipts as to where we're winning. That's a fact. And we're going to keep doing it. You know, I don't really care how many people unfollow me or unsubscribe from the channel. I don't. I'd rather lose every follower and every subscriber telling the truth to protect children and promote individual liberty. Period. All right. That being said, let's move on to our last story. Democrats in full panic mode after McCarthy gives Tucker Carlson access to 41,000 hours of January 6th protest footage. All right, so I did this on a Liberty. I did a shorter version of this on Liberty Lunch Break Hour, which will air from Monday through Friday at noon Central on this channel. It's a pre-recorded episode. They're no more than 5 to 10 minutes long, y'all. Check them out. I keep them lighthearted, or at least I try to. You know, there's times where it's just not possible, right? Sometimes I got to cover some heavy stuff. I just do. But they try to be fun. They try to be lighthearted. But every Monday through Friday, noon Central, on this channel, YouTube, at The Cajun Libertarian, or at my main Facebook page, The Cajun Libertarian, I try to cover some of this stuff. But let's read through the actual article this time, because it is hilarious. Democrats in full panic mode after McCarthy gives Tucker Carlson access to 41,000 hours of January 6th footage. Well, why wouldn't they be upset? Let's be real. I'm not a Republican. Damn sure not a Democrat. Never voted for Trump, never will. But I love the truth. And that's what I care about. And I will always report it. And everyone knows, under the sound of my voice, everyone knows that whatever the media and the government is selling you when it comes to 1-6 is manipulated at best or a flat out lie. Democratic lawmakers are apoplectic because House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, a Republican from California, provided over 41,000 hours of footage from the January 6th protests at the U.S. Capitol to Fox News host Tucker Carlson. I love it. I love it. I want to hear. Look, now, let me preface it with this, okay? Obviously, Tucker Carlson is going to put a conservative spin on it, right? But here's the thing about somebody like Tucker and some of these other outlets. They'll actually give you the information. They may put their conservative spin on it, but what they're going to do is release all of it. And you will be able to make the decision for yourself instead of what the Jan 6 committee did, which withhold 41,000 hours of camera footage. Do I need to say more? If they wanted you to know the truth, they would not have withheld all of this information. They would not have. They don't want you to know the truth. That's why they're outraged as to the fact that the largest, or to my knowledge, the largest TV program, news program, last I checked in history, the Tucker Carlson show, or whatever it's called, that's why they're mad. Now, self-admittedly, I'll tell you, I've never watched one single show of Tucker Carlson. Never have I ever. But I've heard what's going on over there. And so I am glad that it's being released to him so that we can actually get some, at least a much more transparent transcript of what happened on January 6th. My bad, wrong one. I wanted to get this comment. I did not read it. Scientific Libertarian. You could have just said, quote, Democrats in panic mode, end quote, and finish the article. What is a given? It's perfect, right? That's perfect. All right. Up until now, most of the footage made available to the American people by Congress was highly curated and framed by the January 6th House Select Committee, compromising 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans who fell out of favor with American voters. But that's an understatement. My God, could you not? You soften that up to the core. Fell out of favor with America. No, they got absolutely lambasted and destroyed in their elections. Oh, but okay. All right. This conservative outlet, by the way, almost certain it's the Blaze. I did not put it on here. My apologies for the source. I love to give the sources. That's my bad. I was really, really excited about that segment with Sarah Higdon. So if you missed that, please go back and watch that. Absolutely amazing. I know that everyone watching live heard all that, but remember that this show casts to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, basically anywhere you get your podcasts. And so there's a lot of people that are going to be listening to the show later, and they might, tune in at this point right here. And they might not know that there was an absolutely amazing episode or segment within this episode with Sarah Higdon discussing protecting children from being mutilated. All right. The Blaze previously, The Blaze. The Blaze previously reported that producers from Carlson's show came to the Capitol last week to pursue video content from multiple angles taken during the protests in 2021. Clips from the collected footage are expected to start airing on Fox News in the coming weeks. Carlson had accused. Oh, my bad. Let me take that off of there. My fault. Had a comment displayed on the screen a little bit too long. My apologies. While Carlson and Republicans in Congress reckon transparency about a much discussed and politically weaponized event would be beneficial, Democrats aren't so sure. The Democrat from Mississippi, Benny Thompson, end quote. Oh man, former chairman of the January 6th committee said in a statement, quote, "It is hard to overstate the potential security risks if this material were to be used irresponsibly." Like what you did in the J6 committee. Good God. Logic Rex. When is it not an amazing episode? You are the best. I love my consistent followers so much. Like Logic Rex. And I'll tell you that much to my surprise, I get comments like these all the time. Let me take a break from this article, okay? Because Patricia Marie, many hearts. I am stunned at how well this show it literally has done. Literally stunned. It's last I checked, which was a couple weeks ago, downloaded in over 33 countries. According to Spotify. Again, according to Spotify, here are these two. Over 25% shared podcast globally. Over 15% followed podcast globally. When is it not an amazing episode? Logic, every episode to me is not amazing. To me, underperform every single time. And then every single time, the numbers tell me a different story. I don't know how I can convey to y'all how much I really mean what I just said. I don't. All I can tell you is that I'm humble because I don't deserve, in my opinion, I don't deserve to be here. And I don't deserve to have the 50,000+ followers online. I don't deserve to have a show that I barely started a year and a half ago to be downloaded in 33 different countries. I don't deserve to have one of the top podcasts in the world, according to Spotify, in which I'm still I fail every show. The misspelled words, horrible transitions, all of it. I don't know. I don't. The only way I can explain it is that y'all see the love that Jesus has put inside of me, and I convey that much passion and love to people. That's it. That's it. It's the only explanation. There is no other explanation. Because I personally cannot explain it. Now, a lot of people are going to hate that. They're going to be like, well, it ain't because of that. It's just you're talented or you're whatever excuse they want to present. But the fact of the matter is that I was still the same person before I met Jesus. Still the same charismatic, same looking person, all that. The definitive change was Jesus. So take it for what it's worth. Let's go ahead and end the show because we're at an hour. There's a lot of content in this article, but I think we ended well. So let's end with a quote. That quote being, when the January 6th Select Committee obtained access to U.S. Capitol Police video footage, it was treated with great sensitivity, given concerns about the security of lawmakers, staff, and the Capitol complex, Mulvey told Axios. Mulvey added, quote, access was limited to members and a small handful of investigators and senior staff, and the public use of any footage was coordinated in advance with Capitol Police. It's hard to overstate the potential security risks if this material were used irresponsibly, end quote. In response to Mulvey's suggestion, itself echoing themes in other January 6th Democrats' reactions, a McCarthy spokesman said, quote, unlike the previous Democrat majority, the House Republicans will treat the issue of the security of the Capitol separate from partisan political interests, end quote. Tucker Carlson noted on his show this week that some of the footage he has already glimpsed, quote, in some ways, end quote, contradicts the narrative packaged by the 1-6 committee. I'd say that was an understatement, Tucker. I'd say that was an understatement. We cover a lot on this show. I desperately want to cover good news. You know what the problem with that is? Good news doesn't sell. It doesn't. What sells? Fear porn, sex porn, chaos porn. You know what I'm not going to do? Sell any of that. And that may be why that even though I have one of the most popular fast and uprising shows on the planet, has continued to have a immediate ceiling as soon as I hit a new record audience. You know what I'm not going to do? Care about that. I'm going to continue to give you good news. And I'm going to let you decide if it's something that should be spread around the internet. Because ultimately, you, not me, there's some great podcasters out there that will never see the light of day. And they've never even scratched this. They've been doing it for 5-10 years, and they haven't even scratched the surface of what we have done on this show. You're the answer. Yeah, that's a great. Oh wow. Okay, that's a great plug. Wow, didn't expect that coming. You are the power. It's you. It's you. You please do not underestimate your ability to make a massive difference in society within this space. The entirety of society in the globe right now is internet efficiency and dependency. It's you. I could be the greatest podcaster in the world with the highest IQ and the best spread and reach that the world's ever seen. It means nothing. It means nothing without you. You are the power. And man, did I not expect to go into that monologue at the end, but my God, does it matter? It matters because it's true. And truth is what we're advocating for. Because truth breeds every equation. Truth breeds every resolution to every equation that you could imagine. And that's what we fight here on Off the Wire, the Cajun Libertarian brand. I love you very much. Please like, subscribe to my channel, YouTube at the Cajun Libertarian. Follow me on at the Cajun Libert 1 and on Facebook, the Cajun Libertarian. Please watch my shows. I rarely ask anyone for money because I can't stand it because everyone's tight. I do have some equipment coming in to make the show better. So if you do want to donate to the show, then cash at me. I'll give you that information privately. I might start doing it a little bit publicly because I hate it. But the best and most important thing you can do is like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel. The more you share, the more people subscribe. And these messages must be pushed out at all cost. And you are the power. So go check out youarethepower.net. Great way to end the show. Great way to end the show. Was not expecting that transition, and yet here we are. I love you very much. I'll see you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at noon Central for these very short 5 to 10 minute segments that I air. Liberty Lunch break from Off the Wire. The topic du jour, 5 to 10 minutes long, very short, usually lighthearted and fun. And then, of course, every Sunday and Wednesday at 6 Central for this show, the very popular and one of the fastest and larger growing Liberty podcasts on the planet, Off the Wire. I am out.